question I get asked a lot is, who's the best backup goalie in the league? Backup goalies are difficult because you're usually going to have a small sample size. And stats don't tell you the whole story of who the best backups are. So I looked through all 31 teams' goaltending stats, and using a very unscientific method, you know what? These are who I think are the 10 best backups right now in the NHL. So for me right now, number 10, is Korpisalo in Columbus. His key stats, he's 4-3-0. He has a 2.84 goals against, which isn't great, but he has a 911 save percentage, which is all right. And again, it's a small sample size, so if this was starting goalies, there's no way 2.84 and 911 get you into this conversation. But as it's a backup goalie, and as he's had a couple key wins for Columbus along the way, he gets number 10. Number 9, and this one surprises me. He's been really good lately, and that's Ondrej Pavelec. His overall record's 3-4-1, which is not stellar, but 2.61 and 924 save percentage are. When the Rangers brought him in, I had some concerns about him as a backup. He has achieved far beyond anything that I thought he would. And he's given the Rangers a good 1-2 punch in net. Now, whether or not he can keep that up, who knows? But for right now, he looks really good. Number 8. And it's hard to put him in here because technically right now he's Carolina's starter. But he's only appeared in 13 games. So at this point, he still qualifies as a backup, and that's Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward's numbers aren't as nice as Pavelic's until you get to the win-loss record. And then you factor in that Carolina's kind of been a misadventure on the blue line. That 9-2-1 record, Cam Ward, 914 save percentage. Across the board, he's having a very good season. He may be the starter by the end of the year. He might be the starter right now, but the numbers say he's the backup. The numbers say Darling's the starter. Those could very well reverse, but for right now, for this countdown, he's a backup. Number 7, I hadn't even anticipated him making the top 10. This one. I thought, you know what? It's going to look like favoritism if he's in the top 10. Then I looked at the numbers and I'm like, it's going to look bad if he's not. Ryan Miller. He's 4-1-4, 2.23 goals against, and a 928 save percentage. The guy's been dynamite for Anaheim. So if they ever need to give Gibson a rest, Miller's been playing really well. Yes, he's got 4 overtime/shootout losses, but he is able to get them to overtime. He's able to get them that extra point. 4-1-4 record isn't fantastic, but again, as the backup, you don't expect them to be as good as the starters, or else they're starters. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why they're backups. Either they're older, or they're not quite ready, or they're just not starting material. That's backups. But some of them are really good. Number 6, and it's hard to factor this guy in as a backup right now based on the fact that he's having to start so many games. But when Devan Dubnyk's back, Stalock becomes the backup again. So while his numbers aren't, mind-numbing, 7-7-1, 2.72, and a 915 save percentage. Considering he's had to start every game for Minnesota for a while and there's a lot of pressure on him, he's performing very well. Stalock is putting up decent numbers. He's a good backup, and when Dubnyk comes back, I really think this experience will help him from here for the rest of the season when Dubnyk comes back, which I'm sure Wild fans are hoping is soon. Because while Stalock's putting up decent numbers, and he looks good, you really want Dubnyk in net if you're a Minnesota fan. Number 5, and I had a hard time figuring out where this one fits in. Because, of course, again, I'm like, well, I'm a fan, so does the fact that I'm a Bruins fan make a difference? Does it mean that I shouldn't have him in there? The answer is no. Anton Khudobin's 8-2-2, 2.45 goals against, 923 save percentage. As recently as a month ago, he was the starter for the Bruins. He was outperforming Tuukka Rask. It was a combination of Rask was underperforming and Khudobin was just playing very, very well. Anton Khudobin's a good goaltender. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. I think those days are gone. I think that ship has sailed. But I think he's settled in as a very nice backup goaltender. And I know Boston's very happy with him, and Boston fans are happy with him. And what's funny is how many of these guys have, over the years, either found themselves out of the league or, oh, they're over the hill and people talk them down. And now here I am doing a top 10 list, and these guys are on it. So it's kind of an odd thing, but, you know, we roll with it. Number 4, and this is where it gets tough, Aaron Dell. Aaron Dell's putting up very, very, very strong numbers and a very strong case. Not 7-31, it's 7-3-1. Don't panic. 1.94 goals against and a .935 save percentage. Aaron Dell has been amazing for San Jose this year. And it gives them some nice flexibility in terms of when Martin Jones needs a night off. Yeah, you don't have any concern with Dell going in. Dell's played better than Jones to this point in the season, and Jones has played really well. Dell has just been fantastic. The shutout he got over the Canucks as an example, he looked great that whole game, and this is who Aaron Dell is. Dell's proving himself to be potentially, of the guys on this list, I would say Dell's most likely to get a starting job. I don't know when, I don't know where. I don't know that San Jose would even think of putting him ahead of Jones, but at some point Aaron Dell is going to be in the conversation about getting a starting job in the NHL. And his numbers this year show he may very well be worthy of it. Number 3, and I didn't think I'd be writing this name on a board this year other than where is he now? Darcy Kuemper. Darcy Kuemper has yet to lose one in regulation. He has a 2.11 goals against and a .934 save percentage. Isn't that awesome? Darcy Kuemper was left for dead by myself and other hockey-related people after last season in Minnesota where it was bad. You have Dubnyk. Dubnyk's fantastic. They have to put in Kuemper. Well, you're going to lose that one. And there was nerves anytime Darcy Kuemper was in net for Minnesota. That's kind of been straightened out now. The Kings absolutely have to be overjoyed with Darcy Kuemper this year. His numbers have been very good. He has yet to lose one in regulation. Between him and Dell, you know, you're splitting hairs on which one's better. And, yeah, so who's better than them? Who in the world could be putting up better numbers than them? Oh, right, Hutton. Hutton's in 5-3. So you look at his win-loss record, and it's not better. But, and again, I'm looking over my microphone. The 1.67 goals against and .948 save percentage. I would say Hutton's having a pretty good year. Carter Hutton's always been a half-decent backup, and I've always been a fan of Carter Hutton's for his entire career, really. And I really thought that he would get a shot at a starting job by now. I think that ship has sailed for him. Same as Khudobin. But, man, those numbers are intimidating. 1.67 goals against and .948 save percentage. And he's been fantastic most nights. St. Louis has no concerns in net as a starter or in backup. I do wonder if Hutton keeps these numbers up, does he start stealing starts from Jake Allen when we get down the stretch? If St. Louis has any problems, they have any more slumps, does Hutton start getting the ball? Do they let him run with it? Okay, and number 1, and I really didn't think I'd be writing this name up here as number 1 on any list other than defenseman, and that's Malcolm Subban. Malcolm Subban's 9-2-0 this year. He has a 2.18 goals against and a .926 save percentage. When Marc-Andre Fleury got hurt, I figured they were done. I figured Vegas is done. Their season's done. Subban's not a goaltender, not an NHL level goaltender. And that George McPhee had said when he picked up Subban, yeah, he's not ready for the NHL yet, but he was on waivers and we figured we'd take a shot at him. And to me, that was pretty damning praise. And then, of course, they let go of Calvin Pickard, and we all said this is insane. Pickard proved he's an NHL goaltender last year, and then nobody took Pickard. So all 31 GMs know something we didn't know. And we've found out since that Subban's the best backup in the NHL. I have no doubt now that Subban will end up being a starter at some point for the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas really has been a hell of a story, and this is another way in which they're this great story. A goaltender who would have gone to the minors. If Vegas didn't take Subban, I don't think anybody else would have. Right now, Malcolm Subban would be down in Providence. We'd be talking about how he's a bust. We'd be talking about how he never made it to the NHL, and he was a failure, and this kind of thing. And instead, he's a success story. Why? Vegas reasons. Because Vegas. And that's becoming an increasingly large storyline this year. So let me know your picks for top 10. And for those who are wondering, McElhinney gets an honorable mention. Kincaid would have, but his numbers have really slid. Lettinen absolutely gets an honorable mention. And I looked at Grubauer. His numbers aren't high enough to justify being in the top 10. And Jari would have been number 11 if I'd gone to 11. So there you go. Let me know your picks in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing your way through. And hey, we're on the midway mark of the season. There's some pretty good backups in the league. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.